Good evening, everyone. I hope you're well. It's us again. I'm Malika, just as a reminder, or if you weren't here last week. And
Yep, I'm Callum. It's great to be with. Whoops. It's great to be with you guys tonight. We hope you're doing well and you've enjoyed events fortnight so far. Just another quick COVID disclaimer. We are COVID secure in our outdoor venue. Like we keep saying, a little bit chilly, but really glad to be with you. Hopefully a great evening ahead.
I'm under the heater again this evening, so I've got the...
sprinting on in there. I was hoping for it this week, 50-50,
Apologies.
but here we are.
Just a reminder, or if you weren't here last week, so my name's Malika, I'm a second year student and I study law, and I'm from Newcastle CU.
I'm an ancient history student, arguably the tougher degree, but we won't go there.
Yeah, sure.
Tonight we're going to have an interview with Matthew, a student here at Newcastle in second year, before we have a talk by Ed Preston, who is a guy who's involved with student work in Yorkshire and the North East. And then later on we will be on Zoom having some games. I believe it's Would I Lie to You, going on at 8 p.m. If you're interested in joining that, please drop the university Christian Union page a message on any of their social medias.
So again, like last week, so Monday, Wednesday and Friday, we're going to be looking at the theme of unexpected. So tonight it is unexpected costs. So what it costs us to follow Jesus and the costs in our life. So Matthew, again, he'll be telling us a bit about that, and we'll just be exploring those big questions as well. And there won't be a Q&A in the Zoom tonight, but there will be a short time to have a discussion. But again, if you have any questions, you can pop them in the chat. You can message our social media pages, and we'll try and give you a sufficient answer. So today, we're going to be talking about costs, and we really focus on the story in the Gospel of Mark where Jesus is approached by a rich ruler and he believes he's good. He has fulfilled all the commands of Jesus. He is a good person. But Jesus asks him to give up his wealth and his riches, and he simply cannot do it. We'll be exploring what God asked us to do, how we go about doing that, even the small things in life, what it means to be a good person, does that matter to God, things like that in our discussion. So, yeah.
Brill. Just before we get into our interview, we thought we'd do a couple of icebreaker questions. If you have any answers yourself, just stick them in the chat. It'd be great to see them. The first one, I suppose it links quite well to the topic of cost, is what's your favourite takeaway? I mean, often in Newcastle they aren't cheap. I think Jackie's Chinese sent me back £15 last night. So
I do love a Chinese. I seem to not be aware of the cost. I seem to do it multiple times a week and come to my bank account at the end of that week and wonder why it's at what it's at. But I discovered with my flatmate, so I read a Tab article because we just used to get Chineses, and I was like, I'm getting bored. So I read a Tab article and discovered Tanner's Arms, and oh my gosh, have you had it?
I've heard about it.
Oh, it's euphoric. It's so good. Yeah, I described it to my friend Jen as euphoric, and it's incredible. Like, it's addictive.
What is it a pub?
Well,
Like
I think it's a pub that
takeout?
during lockdown has like branched out and done other stuff, and they've really excelled themselves. It's a cross. I feel like you can just get everything there, but the flavours are just immaculate. It is a bit more expensive, but Uber Eats keep emailing me with a 25% off discount code.
They've got you hooked.
So they're definitely listening to me being like, I need to stop spending money and solve that problem for me. But let us know in the chat what your favourites are. I'll have a look now. Oh, some people are saying, Thai food. I haven't discovered a good Thai in Newcastle. Have you?
I can't honestly say I've ever had Thai. I think I've always heard people say, get Thai food, and I think, but like I just know Chinese is a safer option.
You've never had a pad Thai?
or if I've never had Thai food, then
no. It's banging. Callum, you need to try it. It's
I need
so
to.
good.
There's on the end of my street, Geisha is opening up, which is like a Japanese bar. Very excited for.
Well, Zara and Ashley have suggested Wagamamas and Zap Thai to you, but I actually, controversial opinion, I just think the chain Thais are just a bit rubbish. Like, they're okay, but if you find a good independent Thai place with actual Thai people,
support
it's
local.
really good.
Trust
what about
Ashley to go for
Shija?
conglomerates.
Please tell me you've had Shija.
I've had that's Japanese.
Okay, yeah, but, you know, if you haven't
Yeah,
had
yeah,
Thai,
I've
I'm
had
getting some
Shija,
red flags,
definitely.
Callum. What do you get from Shija?
I don't know, exposed it, but I just go for the chicken katsu curry.
Boring.
Hey. Well, what do you go for? What is the supreme
I go
Shija order
I go for the beef teriyaki with noodles. And the thing is
Okay.
with Shija is it's so good when I'm having it, but I feel so rubbish after I've had
Afterwards?
it.
What, just like ill?
Full.
Oh, right, yeah,
All
yeah.
of the above. What else? Yes, live chat. What Netflix series have you discovered over lockdown that you would highly recommend?
For me, I feel like I was a year or two late for this, but well, I like a cycle of Friends. I think I watched Friends almost 4 times last year.
4 times.
And then I was just like, I've got to stop.
Do you know the script now?
It was getting to the point where I'd start the episode and think, I already know what happens. Like, there's no point in watching this. So I broke out 13 Reasons Why.
Oh.
I really enjoyed watching that. It was a bit...
Mhm.
Everyone said they found it really dark. And whilst it is pretty dark, I just wasn't so fazed by it. So,
oh, wow, tough skin.
Yeah, tough skin.
Well, speaking of that, so for my law degree, we have to read so many cases in criminal law. Like, I was reading a case last week about, it is really morbid, but like a child that died. And like when I'm a bit worried because when I read these cases, I don't get fazed anymore because I read them all the time.
I mean,
It's kind of bad.
Just got to be clinical. You know,
Yeah.
lawyers
Look
can't,
at it
lawyers
logically.
can't afford to be emotional.
PJ has said Married at First Sight, Australia. My mum was saying that was really good. Can't say I've seen it.
Yeah. I think Caleb was raving about that.
Yeah. Jonah, Queen's Gambit. Yes, so good. I watched it over the Christmas holidays. It was incredible. I am obsessed with Beth Harmon. Have you not? Callum, you need to watch it. It's
I've heard
so
that
good.
it makes you want to play chess, but that might just be me.
Yeah, it does give. Well, I thought it was going to be a little bit boring because it is about chess, but like they somehow make chess so interesting, and like she'll be playing a game, and I'll be on the edge of my seat, like, oh my gosh, is she gonna win? When I have no actual understanding of chess, but somehow everything's at stake for her, and it's like so cool. Ooh, what are other people saying?
Make sure to add the chess.
Emily is
chess
on
series.
Friends Round 4 too, so you're not alone on that one.
Yes.
Jonathan's been watching WandaVision.
Jonathan Moses.
Yes.
See, I finished that last night. It was okay. I watched 4 episodes in one go and fell asleep during
because of it or because it was late. Did it put you to sleep?
And I was just like, I feel like they wanted you to watch them each week on release rather than in one go. And yeah, it took me 3 or 4 attempts to get through them last night. It was okay.
I've seen a lot of tweets about it, but never actually seen it, so maybe I need
It's
to
been a lot of memes.
Yeah.
It's good. But yeah.
A lot of people are saying Parks and Rec is a favourite.
Yeah, I've witnessed other people watching it, and I mean, it seems okay. It seems like it doesn't seem that good, but if you watch enough episodes, you
could
hooked.
get some. Like
I'm gonna get that. I know Ashley Renee Lawrence.
Well, Ashley's actually put in the
comments.
Ashley has put in the chat. Don't listen to Callum.
There you go.
Zara has said unacceptable Callum, so you're already getting
I
the
spread
attack.
misinformation. I'm gonna get banned off Twitter now.
Well, I've heard that Parks and Rec the first season isn't that good, but then it just elevates from there. So
there's that one guy who's got like a beard and a really like calm voice. I don't know who he is, but I've seen him in memes, and I reckon he'd be fun to watch. But I'm not sure about the rest of it.
I have a deep love for Modern Family. It is my favourite. I have seen it so many times. Love the characters. Gloria Pritchett is my favourite. She's such a diva. Let me know if you agree in the comments. Have you seen The Office?
Yes, I started watching it the start of February, and I've now just about finished it. So
US or UK?
US.
Oh.
I started the UK, and it's pretty good, but it's just
The
like
US
American
is-
humour's just simple enough to understand pretty
Yeah.
easily. UK is a bit too.
Okay,
too
next
intense.
question, live chat. Sweet or savoury? So are you a meal, like, savoury kind of lover, or the cakes, the buns, the tray bakes? Tell us what you prefer. What do you prefer, Callum?
I've got a bit of a sweet tooth. The I was in Lidl today doing my grocery shop, and the lady behind the till told me off for buying too many sweet things. They just have like loads of good things. Like there's the
Are we talking Little Bakery?
just well, I mean, Little Bakery's
Bakery.
good,
Wow.
but you know you've got to have it there and then, otherwise
True.
it goes off. But
I could
chocolate
have
chip
it there and then.
brioche, apple sour rings, tear and
Ooh.
share brioche.
Well, that's another segment of the sweet. Are you an actual, like, sweets person or chocolate person?
I think I'm just like I'm everything. Chocolate's okay, quite easy to get sick on chocolate.
I'm definitely a chocolate person.
Are you
Ashley's
sweet?
saying both, so she's just
Well,
going
I
with
mean,
both.
yeah, in an ideal world, just both.
Savoury seems like the winner. So Caroline, Emily, Becky is saying savoury. Jonah is saying sweet and savoury together. Donut burger from Red's barbecue. It's incredible. So basically, there's a burger that has a donut bun as the bun, and then
Okay.
the savoury in the middle. And
Yeah.
I was very skeptical when I had it, but had it, and it was great. Also got 40% off my bill because I knew someone who worked there. So she came over to me and my mum. She was like, "This is when we could go to restaurants." She was like, "I've took some money off your bill." I was like, "Oh, incredible."
Is that not just like a bagel with a bun?
No,
A bagel
no.
with a burger in the middle.
No, you can't diminish its value like that, Callum. It's a donut, like I'm talking sweet donut.
A donut.
A donut, yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
Tom Aykroyd said Callum's sweet enough for me.
Oh,
Oh,
Tom. We narrowly missed out on a Warzone dub earlier, so I'm glad that he's not bitter at me. So. Losing.
Shall we move on to our interview?
Yeah, Matthew's stood out in the cold, looking longingly at this heater. So we'll welcome him in. We'll get this interview going. Oh. Welcome. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it is quite cold out there, but you've warmed this place
Come
up
on
quite
in.
nicely.
Oh yeah, well, best stream for you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you doing?
How you doing? I'm doing okay. Just for those who do not know you, maybe you want to introduce yourself?
Yep. So my name is Matthew. I'm a second-year medical student. I live with 3 other lads. Jonathan Moses, who commented before. Matthew and Peter, if you know them. Great guys. Yeah, I don't have lots going on. I just sit at home on my computer most of the day. That's about it.
What are your favourite lockdown hobby?
Lockdown hobbies. Played a lot of Fortnite. Started off quite badly, but then became at the kind of level where capable of winning games, but not winning all the time. So like the win is special.
Yeah.
But it's not too rare, so it's the perfect balance actually.
I mean, I'm not in the gaming world, but I have a brother, and I thought like Fortnite had died out now, but I thought we'd moved on to something else.
It has to be fair.
Apologies,
Me and my friend play. We're very behind the times. Like, yeah, like we it's definitely dead. Like you have 100 players normally,
Right.
but maybe half of them are computer players now. So it's still fun though. I don't care. It's fun.
Well, at least you enjoy it, and
Yeah.
I mean, I can't talk about dead games. I'm still big on Warzone.
Oh, Warzone. I thought that was still in.
I've heard people saying today it's not. I think it is, but it's been around for a year, so I suppose it's just getting old.
But they're not the
Problem
same
with Warzone
concept.
is it costs
Yeah,
it's too
same-
much to
same
download.
concept.
So you could have just all play one, and Matthew would have the other 50 players.
Fortnite's
Gaming
for
doesn't
like
work like
7-year-olds though.
No, 12-year-olds.
12-year-olds.
The occasional
Okay.
older fella.
Okay.
Anyways,
We thought tonight quickly we'd run through a little two truths, one lie type thing, just to get you warmed up for Would I Lie to You Later?
Oh yes.
So,
who's going
Maddie,
first?
Am I going first?
yes,
Okay. Okay. I have been to Rome. My granddad was a professional footballer who played for Blackpool and Preston. And
Preston.
Um,
I'm from Preston.
okay, yeah. I once played a primary school football game against Alan Shearer's son and tackled him really badly right in front of the man himself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you quite into football,
I
by
mean,
any chance?
it's all right. I play more casually than for teams, but yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
Should we
we
guess
gonna
now,
yeah,
or
yeah.
should we go around? Okay.
lock
What-
your
what do they
answer
think?
in.
What?
Ooh,
Go on.
You
let's
guys.
check.
Yeah,
What do they think?
Get in the chat. Call him out.
Let's see.
Small silence.
Keep
Why
it
don't you
coming,
guys just
guys.
guess?
Start guessing in the comments.
I'll run through mine. So I play 5 instruments.
Okay, let's give the live chat one at a time. We'll get overwhelmed. Too much
Sorry,
to remember.
I'm understanding the signs from in front.
I think your lie is the Rome one.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
I think
looking
you're
in.
lying about Rome.
Guys, have you
Yeah.
not seen my cover photo from 2017? No?
Apparently not.
I've been
know
to
you
Rome.
then.
I went to Rome, family photo.
Okay.
Family holiday, also family photo.
Enlighten us. What did you
My
lie about?
lie is my granddad. My granddad was never a footballer.
Oh.
I mean, he
Why
likes
is it-
it, but he wasn't that good.
Okay,
Fair.
y'all go.
I play 5 instruments. I had these written down because I was so convinced about my truths. I'm a descendant of William the Conqueror, or I've sprained the same little finger 10 times in about 8 months.
I've locked my lie
So
in.
you're saying you're a royal...
I don't know if I don't think I'm quite royal. He's not the
Oh.
same line, is he? He's not Windsor.
Yeah, he is. Have you not heard the Horrible History song? All the way.
Ancient history rather than. really
I
modern.
don't think
Your
you're related
degree's
to William
really
the
coming
Conqueror.
to
Yeah, mine's
use.
Clutch.
Chat,
So-
what do you think his lie is?
What do you guys think?
I think it's the William the
Yeah.
Conqueror one.
No, it's actually
No
not.
way.
Like, I mean,
What?
I'm pretty
Have
sure
you
it's
been
a
on
tedious link.
Ancestry.com?
But yeah, so my auntie was really into finding out our ancestors, and she found out. I
Wow.
found out in year 8, so there might be some small like little
Influence.
asterisk detail that I've missed out. But I'm pretty sure
That's quite
true.
cool.
So what is your
Um,
lie?
I think I didn't sprain. Oh no, I don't play 5 instruments. I only play 3.
Oh, what are the 3?
So I play violin, viola, and a little bit of bass guitar.
Cool.
Yeah.
Tom Aykroyd, by the way, said, "Isn't ancient history a combined honours degree?"
I don't think
And
so.
PJ said, "Is that why you study history, to learn about the fam?"
I mean, Jesus came up in my degree last week, so
Oh,
really,
yeah.
I'm learning about my bros and sisters in Christ.
Okay, so mine. So I have performed at Leeds Arena twice with Barry Manilow. I have performed at the Royal Albert Hall, or I am grade 5 piano. Take your guesses.
I'm gonna guess that grade 5 piano is a lie.
Surely you're more than grade 5.
Yeah,
if
surely
you performed
if-
at these fancy halls.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my logic.
Yeah.
Okay, you are both correct, but actually, you're overestimating me because
Grade 4.
no. So I started piano. I gave up with the grades. I can play, but I gave up with the grades.
Okay, fair.
And I have a love-hate relationship with the piano. I just prefer to sing, clearly. So those performances were singing performances.
Okay,
So yeah,
that's pretty cool.
thanks.
Okay.
Anyways, shall we move on to the
Yeah, should we get into
reason why we're here?
The
Yeah.
serious
Yeah,
part.
yeah.
Yeah.
Stop lying and telling truth on the internet.
Yeah. So Matthew, can you tell us a little bit about your journey of becoming a Christian and what that involved?
Yeah, sure. So I probably would say I became a Christian at the age of 13. I was on a camp called Word Alive, which some of you may know, but a lot of you probably won't.
Can you tell us a bit
Yeah,
about
I'll
what
tell you.
it
I'm
is?
down. It's like a kind of national holiday in a way in Wales. It's a week, and kind of families go, students go, and it's there's kind of lots of talks and seminars, lots of kind of other stuff to do as well. Like there's like massive inflatables every year, and there's the second round on Total Wipeout, the last man standing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really fun.
Oh my god.
Nice.
But so they also run kind of like kids and youth as well, because a lot of kids and youth are there. And I went along to them, and at about 13 heard a few talks. We felt really kind of convicted and challenged, and decided to commit my life to Jesus. But I wouldn't say a lot changed. It wasn't like I woke up the next day and I was suddenly a different person. I was pretty much the same guy. And I think if you'd maybe asked some of the people who knew me, throughout the whole school, to be honest, they would have known I was a Christian, because I told them. But if they didn't know, I don't think they'd have noticed. And yeah, so it's very much been kind of a steady, very steady growth period with lots of kind of bumps and the other
Peaks
one.
and troughs.
Peaks and troughs. It's not the most remarkable story, but sometimes it's not. It's still a miracle that Jesus decided to change my heart, and transform me from being someone who didn't want to have anything to do with God, to someone who wanted to have him as the king of my life. So yeah, that's how I became a Christian.
Amazing. So you kind of mentioned that not much changed immediately, but I guess in the Christian life we slowly discover things and have to make decisions and choices. So our theme is unexpected costs. So in your life as a Christian so far, can you identify any costs that you've had to make?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the first thing to say is that the Christian life can be hard. In fact, Jesus promised his disciples in the gospel that they would suffer for his sake, and many of them went on to be killed for their faith. Thankfully, I'm lucky that I'm not in positions like that. But every Christian will undergo hardships and costs of being a believer. And I think the main one for me is kind of a broad one, having to give up certain things at certain times, sometimes time being the thing I have to give up. I can think of an example when I was younger. I had to give up playing county hockey when I was 14, 15 years old, because it was on Sunday mornings, and I believed that church was more important. Church is a great way to learn more about Jesus and to spend time with other Christians and to grow in faith. But that was actually really hard, because it ended up being my only shot. I had a shot the year after, but I got my nose smacked in, so I was quickly removed. And I knew I was good enough at the time to get through that level and play higher, and that's something I really wanted to do. So it was quite hard to kind of ultimately give that up for Jesus, but I don't regret it now.
I think I relate to that actually with the giving up of time, because I studied law, and I find my degree quite demanding, and I guess you might too with medicine, but actually thinking, no, I need to give some time to Jesus and not let things consume me. Don't know if you can relate to that, Callum.
Ancient history, you've got all the time in the world, you put your feet up.
You've got so much time for Jesus.
Oh, we were having a good interview, and
we planned this before, and we said that we might do a dig at Callum for ancient history, and it was never a might. It was always a
it flowed so well.
Yeah. Ancient history.
But how do you kind of manage your faith with your degree as well?
Yeah, I mean, uni is a very big change from school. Obviously, you guys all know that, and I think coming into first year, coming into Freshers Week, I was kind of like everyone, really keen to fit in and make friends and just to settle in. I mean, I hate new stuff. I just like to get to the part when it's normal. It's just But so Freshers was quite a challenging time for me. Obviously, being a Christian, there was certain things that everyone else was doing that I wouldn't do. I wouldn't drink too much. Sleep around, things like that. That a lot of people do, and that was hard sometimes because with everyone else doing something different at times, you feel like maybe you're not fitting in. And sometimes those things look fun, and not missing out, it looks to be the kind of the wrong choice. So it's tough, but God was with me. God blessed me with some really good housemates in first year. I was never under pressure to do things I didn't want to do, and I was able to build up good friendships with those guys in first year, and still in touch with a couple. So in the very, very off chance that any of you are watching, hello. Haven't seen you in a while. Should have a drink when the pub comes back.
Shout outs.
You're probably not watching, but is it on record? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's recorded.
You
It's
can watch
good.
it later.
Oh, get in.
The
Okay.
internet forever.
You can
Share
be
it.
like, hey guys, I shouted you
Shout out
on
for my Windy Tea flatmates.
on
yeah.
live.
But yeah, in terms of like time again, studying medicine can be very time consuming, especially when you're a bit lazy and you let things pile up. I've found that especially this year, being at home pretty much the whole time and being
So hard to motivate
I know
yourself.
having a condensed year as well. The workload is constantly high,
Insane.
and it's so easy just to not do it. Like at home, you could just have a day off so easily, and then you're gonna have to do 2 days work the next. And yeah, as well as kind of with church being online as well. What's so
Sorry.
funny?
Callum's just
Nothing.
pulling some faces of us two agreeing that.
He's agreeing. Yeah.
Terms being condensed.
What do you know?
It's tough.
No, it's fine. I'm sure Callum's busy at times.
Yeah.
I'm busy now. Yeah.
Sorry, carry on. I could just see Callum in the corner
So
of my
I feel I'll look at you a bit more. You get involved, What was I saying?
Sorry.
Yes, work totting up.
Yeah.
And also with church being online, Callum, it's quite easy to miss that as well. And when you kind of I seem to always have this choice every Sunday, finish this thing for tomorrow or go to church. So I've not always chosen church. And I'm not saying that church is an essential thing to be a Christian, but I would say it's a really important thing because, like I said before, it's really important that as Christians, we learn more about God and we grow more in our faith, and church is kind of a really good way to do that. And we need to make even more of an effort now with things being online, because it can be quite what's the word, kind of distant, almost not kind of feeling real at times, just watching church in like my PJs in my bed. So it's, but yeah, definitely I think yeah, I'm just going to summarize that.
Time is a big
Time
one.
is a big one, and like sometimes giving up things that you might want to do. It's like it's a thing about priorities as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I'm guessing also that quite a few other costs, maybe you can't think of them at the moment, but small things have come under that. What has kind of driven you to make those costs in your Christian life? What has been the motivation or the incentive, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously it's hard, and the Christian faith is hard, but there's so much joy about it as well. And ultimately, we believe that Jesus will come back, and that there'll be a heaven, a place where everything is perfect, and those who've believed in him will be able to go there and experience joy forever. There's a verse in 1 Peter, I think it's chapter 5, where it says that, while we may suffer for a little while in this life, God will exalt us and strengthen us and give us joy. But it's not all about just looking to heaven. Obviously, that's the main thing. Heaven is great, and it's going to make all the pain and all the suffering for Jesus' sake worth it. That's why so many people have given up their lives for Christ, because they know that they're so firmly believing that they will be with him after death. But there's joy in this life as well, When I gave up county hockey for church, I also helped out with some of the kids and youth group kind of Bible stuff at church, and that has been one of the best things to happen to me, honestly. Like, at times it was pretty much the only good thing going. Seeing these kids grow up and learn more about Jesus. Some of them committing their lives to Jesus. And then just like some of the things they say at times, they're hilarious. They're at the age when like they're starting to get a little bit of an attitude, and they've all got like smartphones as well. But ultimately, they're just class, and a lot of them are Christians now, and it's just great to be part of that and to see them growing, and it's a great source of joy for me. But yeah, it's like it's it's about what do you think it's worth it or not? Because if you think it's worth it, then all the suffering that comes, it's incomparable to the benefits. But yeah.
Definitely. And kind of looking at like why we need to be saved and our flaws, there can be this perception that we need to be a good person or we need to be, perfect or whatever. Why do you think that like we need to be saved and those costs again? Why do we need to give those things up? What are your kind of like rounding thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I want to say first of all that I'm no saint at all. I've been talking all about this giving up stuff, but there's been probably more times when I've not given up stuff and I've been selfish, and I've put my own life ahead of Jesus basically. But it all comes down to what he did. The whole Christian faith is centered around what Jesus did on that cross. It's not about the stuff we do. We can't on our own be good enough for God. But we also can't be bad enough for God. God knows us more than we know ourselves. He's seen every single thing we've done, everything we thought. He's seen the very worst in all of us. And if you think about it, that there is a lot of bad in us. But God still loves us. God decided to die for us, so that we don't have to be punished for that, and we can come back to him. So all the times where I've just, my heart sank because I know I've let God down. I've not chosen to do something else, so I've just let him down in whatever way. I always know that I can always come back to him and have forgiveness.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Thank you for chatting with us, Matthew.
It's great. It was fun.
Real, it's nice.
I feel like it was just us.
Yeah.
No, okay.
That's okay. I got the fun questions.
Good.
So yeah, we're gonna move now into our talk from Ed Preston. He's gonna be tackling some more of the issues around Christianity and the cost that it has and the choices we have to make. So yeah, we'll go into that now, and then we'll come back to the stream. Hope you enjoy.
I don't know about you, but if I'm honest, when it comes to keeping all the lockdown rules and keeping them consistently, I find it really hard. I don't know about you. As odd as it might sound, this is genuinely true. Sometimes I forget about the rules. I forget about social distancing and I walk up to a friend, I'll get right up close and personal, and then I'll remember. It's normally okay with a mate, but it didn't go down well with my car mechanic last time I took my car to the garage. How do you find keeping the rules? How do you find breaking them? And how do you find it when you see others breaking rules? Perhaps you had the honour or the shame, delete as appropriate, of being one of the many sledgers at Newcastle's Town Moor a few weeks back, where there were so many people sledging, the police just couldn't do anything about it, and it ended up even hitting the national news. I wonder if you saw that. Perhaps you watched the report and you watched it from afar and just laughed and thought, man, I wish I could have been there. Or maybe you watched and just sat in disbelief that people could so blatantly disregard the rules. The thing with these COVID restrictions, and I think more than that, with rules in general, is we can all find them hard to live up to. It's hard to keep rules. It's hard to keep them all the time. It's just hard to be consistent. Not just when it comes to sledging, but with all sorts of examples. Take another COVID one, for example, face masks. I don't know about you, but sometimes aren't they just the most annoying thing in the world? And you're walking around the shop and you just feel like, oh, I just want to breathe, and you just poke your nose through the top. And you know it's against the rules, you know it's not wearing it properly, but you justify it to yourself saying, I just want to breathe. And then another day, you're wearing the face mask and it feels totally fine. And in fact, it's nice to have something that's warming your face in the cold. And then you see somebody not wearing the mask and you look at them and you think, don't you know the rules? And you want to come down on them like a ton of bricks for something that perhaps a day, a week, an hour ago you were ready to justify for yourself. It's hard to be consistent, isn't it? Now, maybe we just want to shrug this off and we chalk it up to life being a lot more difficult right now. That certainly is true. But if you cast your mind back to before the pandemic, before social distancing, before masks, before all of that, and think about how you found life before all of this. When it comes to rules, either the ones imposed on us by law or by others, or the ones that we choose to put on ourselves, if we're honest, wouldn't we have to say that we weren't all that consistent before COVID came along. Think about New Year's resolutions. Why is it that it's hard to get a New Year's resolution past January, let alone the rest of the year? Or perhaps just that commitment that you made to yourself after coming back from a really heavy night out with your mates. The commitment never to get so drunk again, never to have a night with so many embarrassing stories and such a terrible hangover, only to take one more drink and have one more really heavy night. Maybe this is the kind of thing that you find easier to see in other people. But again, if we're honest with ourselves, wouldn't we just have to agree we're all in the same boat? We are, aren't we? Look, sometimes these inconsistencies can be quite funny. Sometimes they can be frustrating, and sometimes they're harmful. The truth is, when we're thinking in this category, we don't need to scratch too much below the surface before we start to see that we're looking at things about ourselves which do actually really matter, aren't we? They matter because our sense of self, our sense of self-worth, very often it's wrapped up with our sense of our personal morality. Am I a good person or am I not? And the chances are, as nice as it is, you want people to like you not just because they like you, but because of who you are, because of the sorts of things you do. You want to be someone who contributes to the world. You want to be someone who is part of the solution, not a part of the problem. We want people to see that we are a good person. We might want people to, we might want to be a good person, but as we think about it, as I think we've seen, figuring out exactly what a good person is and what it isn't, it's actually quite hard, isn't it? It's a hard question to answer. What does it mean to be a good person? Well, this is not a new question to us for our time. This is a question that human beings have been asking and trying to answer for all of history. Each civilization has had its own answer to that. Each civilization, each group has its own perspective on a good person, on the good life lived. Tonight, to help us think about this, we're going to look at another one of these snapshots of Mark's Gospel, one of the biographies of Jesus' life. We're going to look at a snapshot from there, and we're going to meet a man who asks pretty much the same question. And we're going to hear Jesus' response. This one is taken from Mark chapter 10, and it begins at verse 17. It begins like this. It says, "As Jesus started on his way, a man ran up to him and fell on his knees before him. 'Good teacher,' he asked, 'what must I do to inherit eternal life?'" This is how it begins. Perhaps you've got questions about this man's worldview, his understanding of God and eternal life. Good questions, but just park those for a moment, because as we look in here, I think what we see is we have quite a strong connection with this man. Just think about his question. He says, "What must I do to inherit eternal life? What must I do?" We, like him, operate, most of us at least, with this understanding that our morality, our moral identity, our being a good person or a bad person, all of this is linked with what we do. For example, you help a granny cross the street, you're being a good person. You push a granny over in the street, well, that's another story, isn't it? It seems quite simple. And if you're thinking this, and hey, why wouldn't you be? Jesus' response is really going to surprise you. This is how he responds to the man. He says, "Why do you call me good? No one is good except God alone." Oh, well, if anything's unexpected, that's an unexpected response, isn't it? No one is good. No one is good except God alone. Jesus, how can you be serious? Perhaps you're sitting there and wondering, how on earth did this guy become this world-renowned teacher? You wouldn't be the first. But look, as strange as this sounds, and as unflattering a response as it is, if you can identify with what we've said already, that how difficult it is to be consistent, this dilemma with following rules, and if you agree that being good isn't just about abstract actions in one moment in time, but rather who you are as a whole, then we might not like it, but I think we have to say that Jesus' statement here is in fact quite on the money. Because none of us is truly consistent. Not with our own rules, not with other people's rules. And if this is the standard, then none of us is good. None of us are good, are we? Now, I know what you're thinking. Perhaps you're thinking, I can get on board with the diagnosis. None of us is consistent. I can appreciate that. But I can't follow Jesus all the way to his conclusion. It's just too extreme. Maybe you're thinking, rather than count everybody out, we just need to change the standard. We just need to lower our expectations. It's ridiculous to expect 100% compliance 100% of the time. We need a lower percentage. Well, you guys are at uni. What about if we operate on the uni degree classification? We aim for a first. We aim for 70%. Is that enough? How about we aim for that? But what do you do then with the people who get 69% or 68%, just on the cusp? Give them a 2-1 in morality? I mean, how would that even work? Where would you draw the line? Wouldn't it just be completely arbitrary? How would you do it? You've also got to consider the changing standards, the changing attitudes within a culture in a different time and season. These attitudes can and do change, and sometimes really quickly. And again, this is not an abstract question. This is something that our society right now is quite literally tearing itself apart over. The last few months have provided us a prescient example of where changing standards in society can lead us. Just think about the statue of Edward Colston in Bristol. As we know now, Edward Colston was a man who was involved in the transatlantic slave trade. During his life, and in the century or so even afterwards, he was considered a good man, good enough to have a statue put up for him and other memorials. And yet, as we all saw this in June last year, that all came crashing down when that statue was pulled down and thrown into Bristol Harbour. We've got some inconsistency here, haven't we? In his day, Edward Colston was judged to be a man good enough to have a statue, and yet by our day, he is now seen to be a man who should be reviled for his part in one of the greatest evils of British history. Look, I'm not trying to defend him, and I'm not trying to defend his statue. What I'm saying is this: the putting up and the pulling down of his statue should give us strong reason for doubting both ourselves and our society's ability to define and to discern what is good. Think on this as well. We have even greater reason for doubting ourselves if we put the outrage that led to his statue being pulled down, his place in the transatlantic slave trade, and the current unequal treatment of black people, we place that against the backdrop of the present and horrifying reality of human trafficking. Right now, there are estimated to be around 40 million slaves worldwide, 1 in 4 of whom are children, many of whom are subject to sexual exploitation that ends up on free pornographic websites like Pornhub, which can then be accessed by anybody with an internet connection and viewed with zero consequence. Think on that. If this is true, and it is true, on what basis then could we say that we are those who are able to define and to discern what is good? How could we do it? We might not like what Jesus has to say here, but when placed against this backdrop, don't Jesus' words that no one is good except God alone seem to be increasingly obvious and increasingly reasonable? What are we to do with this then? There are so many things wrong with the world. There's so many injustices to be challenged, so many wrongs to be righted, and we recognise that's not just an external thing, but it's something to do with us as well. It can start to be overwhelming, can't it? Well, look, if this is how you're feeling, Jesus has more words for us from this story, but he has words of comfort as well as challenge. His first listeners, as Jesus spoke, they were pretty stumped by what Jesus had to say here too. And further down in the story, if you want to read it in your own time, we hear Jesus' response to his closest followers. He says this. His friends turned to Jesus and they said this because they were stumped. Who then can be saved? Who then can be saved? They're asking, who then is good enough to come to God? That was their big question. Who's good enough? What do we need to do to be good enough? They're genuinely perplexed. Maybe this isn't the way that you would phrase it, but perhaps this is where you're at right now with your question. Maybe it captures something of how you're feeling. Because as we think of these tragic and disturbing things, and as we think about our own inconsistencies and our own participation in what's wrong with the world, I think we can't help but come to the conclusion that if we're honest, none of us would ever truly be worthy of the honour of a statue or something like that. None of us has lived what could be really truly described as a good life. None of us can truly stand up to the scrutiny of other people, let alone the scrutiny of God. Friends, if that's where you're at right now, I've got some really good news for you. And they come in the form of Jesus' response to his friends. Mark records Jesus responding to his friends like this. Jesus looked at them and said, "With man, this is impossible, but not with God. All things are possible with God." What Jesus is saying here is that in him, we see this in the rest of Mark's gospel, in Jesus, our hunt for what is good is over. We don't need to look anymore. We found it in Jesus. More than that, he's saying our hunt for a way to deal with all the things that we've done which are not good, all the things that we know are wrong, our hunt for a way to make them right, and yet we're so powerless to undo, and to fix them in a way that doesn't simply hide it, doesn't simply sweep it under the carpet, all of these things that we feel ashamed of, but actually deals with them, actually solves them, actually takes away our shame. Our hunt for this is over. All of it finds its answer in Jesus. It's not just in a way that fixes things between us and other people, but in a way that fixes the problem between us and God, that brings us to God as friends. Jesus is the remedy to all of this. The man who came to Jesus in the story, he got one major thing wrong, something that we join him with. He asked, "What must I do?" But he also got something really right in his question. And in fact, it was one particular word. It's that word inherit. Do you remember? What must I do to inherit eternal life? Now, when we use the word inherit in its usual form, we mean this is something that is a gift. It's something we receive for free upon the death of someone else. And this is exactly how goodness, the goodness of Jesus and our receipt of it, works. We might not be worthy of a statue. We might not be good, but Jesus is. And when he came, he didn't just come to garner a reputation as a good teacher. He didn't just come to be controversial, to be enticing in history. He came to die. He came to die on a Roman cross. He came to die in the place of people who are not good, who in comparison to the God that he reveals never could be considered good, not in and of ourselves. Jesus came to die so that we could be forgiven. And he showed the world that he really does have power beyond our imagination, beyond our dreams, power to heal the deepest of wounds, and power to forgive the ugliest thoughts and actions from our pasts. And he proved this when 3 days after dying, he rose from the dead to new eternal life, never to die again. He did all of this so that everyone who was ready to freely accept this gift of forgiveness could have it. Because this forgiveness is for everyone, yes, even for you. Is to be received upon his death for free. It is an inheritance to be claimed. So will you do it? Will you accept this offer? Will you come and take up this offer that Jesus has of forgiveness? And not just of forgiveness, but eternal life. And I know that might sound absolutely crazy, but this is Jesus' offer. Will you come to him? Will you trust him? Will you trust that he is good enough to deal with you? Will you allow him to deal with you with all your past, with all the things that cause you to feel shame, all the things that you know you've been involved in that are not good? Perhaps you're not ready for this. Perhaps you've still got some questions. If that's where you're at, well, thank you for joining us tonight and so far over the course of last week and this week. Please stick around. Please continue to investigate the claims of Jesus. I think I've mentioned this in all of my talks so far, but I want to say it again. Why not continue looking at Jesus? Why not get hold of a copy of Mark's Gospel either free on the internet or get in touch with the Christian Union? We'd love to read it with you to help you ask and answer some of your questions. I've got 3 questions that you might want to discuss with your friends if you're watching with them this evening. Here we are. Here's 3 questions you might want to start discussing to help you think about this. First of all, what questions has your participating in the unexpected events so far raised for you? What questions do you have? And what do you make of Jesus' statement this evening that no one is good except God alone? What do you make of that personally? And lastly, what do you make of Jesus from what you've seen of him so far? They're just some starter questions. Feel free to ask your own. But why not discuss those with your friends after the event finishes this evening? Perhaps though you are interested, you're intrigued, you've been coming along, you're following along and reading Mark's Gospel, and maybe you'd like to see what it looks like to live out following Jesus with others within a community. Or maybe you want to arrange or ask someone to help you to visit a local church, whether that's in Newcastle or in the place that you're staying at with your parents for now. The Christian Union would love to help you with this, so please do indicate that. Lastly though, perhaps you know now that you really are ready to take the plunge. You really do want to follow Jesus. You've done your investigating, you've asked your questions, and you might still have some, but you've decided now you want to follow Jesus. If that's where you're at tonight, then I want to invite you to follow along with this simple prayer. You can use these words. There's nothing special about this form of words, but you could use these and say this along with me. You could say, Lord Jesus, like the man in the story, I run to you and I kneel before you. I'm not good, but I see Jesus, you are. Please deal with me tonight. Forgive my inconsistencies, my flaws, and my failings. I turn from this way of life and I want to follow you. Through your death on the cross, may I too inherit eternal life with you. Amen. If tonight was the first time you've prayed a prayer like that, then you've started a new journey. And we'd love to help you with that. We'd love to help you understand that and help you as you start that. If you have done that, please do tell somebody in the Christian Union, tell your friend. We'd love to support you and help you with that. But for now, thank you so much for listening, and I'll hand back to our hosts.
So I wonder what your answers to those questions were. I really hope you enjoyed the talk and got a lot from it, and I would just really encourage you to have a think about those things and have a think about what we've been discussing this evening. And if you have any questions, you can DM our CU pages. You can come along to our Q&A on Friday evening at 8 p.m. And we'll be more than happy to have a chat with you, have a discussion, answer any questions, and just talk it out.
Brill. That's all from us here tonight on the live stream. But straight after this at 8 o'clock, there is going to be a Zoom where we're going to play Would I Lie to You? I believe Matthew is on the panel for that.
He will.
So maybe ask him something about Fortnite. Make his day. But yeah, if you'd like details for that, please just message us on any of our social medias. We'd be more than happy to give you the password, and it'd be great to see you there. I think that's all from us. Just a quick reminder that this week we do still have 2 more events to come. Wednesday lunchtime, I believe we have a Q&A talking about injustices, particularly reflecting on the topic of racial injustice.
And that's 12 till 1?
12 till 1.
Mm-hmm.
1.
1.
No one's winning. And then on Friday, we're back again in the evening, I believe looking at the topic of hope. It'd be great to have you along at those events. Please do feel free to come along and share it with your friends. It'd be great.
Amazing. Good night, everyone. See you on Zoom.
Night, guys. See you later.